Well, Ryan Gravenberch talks to Manchester United have been held, and we are not only the only team that is really going ahead to hold on these talks, but very many other teams, especially in the Premier League, that are really interested in the player known as Ryan Gravenberch. Welcome to United Matters channel, second video of the day. How are you guys, and where you watching us from? I go by the names of Rock and David. Smash the like button, comment and share. If at all you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Now, Wout Weghorst has failed to convince Erik ten Hag that he can really be signed permanently at Manchester United. And looks like Besiktas wants to sign him back in the summer. And lastly, we are going to bring you a list of players put outside there by the Premier League, where they're going to nominate the Premier League, where they're going to nominate from the Premier League team of the season. And we are having some players included in almost every department. I'm going to rant about some names I expected to be in, but they are not in, and I think we will be having sounding reasons as to why I'm ranting. So let's see close to 100 likes smash on this video as we get into it. Ryan Gravenberch is really one of those hot assets that Erik ten Hag would love to bring at Manchester United, and today we've had a story coming in from Santi J telling us that representatives from Liverpool, Arsenal and Manchester United have all held meetings with Ryan Gravenberch's representatives. United coach Erik ten Hag is a fan of Gravenberch. The player wants to play more, be it at Bayern Munich or elsewhere. A decision will be made. Now, I think most of you are just forgetting that the guy is just 20 years of age. You know, Ten Hag is really the person who really gave him his breakthrough chance to the first 11 of Ajax. He came in and really played very, very, very well. He put in performances that most of us have not even gotten enough of at Ajax. And to me, I thought that he was that kind of player that we are going to really sign at Manchester United. But to my surprise, he had already agreed to move to Bayern Munich in March. And obviously, when you look at how things are going down in at Bayern Munich, they are not all rosy. When you look at the Bundesliga, only has gone ahead to play 18 games and he has started only one. That is the Bundesliga. In the Champions League, he has gone ahead to play 6 games. He has only started 2. A player that is in the age of 20 who would always want to come on and really play very many games. And when you look at Bayern Munich, I don't see him getting the German trio out of that midfield. That is Musiala, Joshua Kimmich and Goretzka. You know, there is even Sabitzer. He couldn't even go or play ahead of Sabitzer. So it shows you how the player is really annoyed and his entourage just wants to really look for options in the summer, because Ryan Gravenberch in his own words told us that if at all he doesn't get enough playing time, he's going to quit. Thomas Tuchel, the permanent manager of Bayern Munich, newly appointed like 2-3 weeks back, confirmed to us that he's liking Ryan Gravenberch. He has a very good touch, good skill, but the problem is simple. He needs to prove to him that he is fit to displace one of those 3 players playing in the midfield. Remember, Ryan Gravenberch can play as a central defensive midfielder. He can play as a number 8. He can also play as a number 10, and Ten Hag really loves him a lot. So United holding talks with Gravenberch is really important, and it brings in lots of fronts. It brings a lot to our front on what Ten Hag's summer is gonna be like. It also has some hallmarks of the Glazers that they might be here until the summer comes to an end. Why is Erik ten Hag shifting from Frankie de Jong, Jude Bellingham, McAllister, which other midfielder, you know, to these levels of Gravenberch? I understand Gravenberch is a very good player. I don't underrate his talent, but at a level of Manchester United right now, as we are securing the Champions League places and playing very well, having a very good manager that can attract good talent to the club of Manchester United, we should be in the ilk of really competing with Man City for Jude Bellingham. But why are we negotiating deals for players like Ryan Gravenberch? Ten Hag has already been told the budget that he has. for Manchester United. And Ten Hag wants to bring in players early enough before we go to the preseason. At least he gets in like 3 players before he goes to the preseason. That's why he's going in for these players, that are really cheap. He knows maybe towards the end of the summer the sale will be made. But even if the sale will be made, will the owner be in position to spend huge? Look at Chelsea. Chelsea's takeover was accomplished in May, but they made their first signing, I think, towards the end of July. So, if the sale of United, whose final bids are expected on 28th of April, happens around June, that means the new owner of United will be willing to splash money in August because a lot needs to be first put into line. So that plays well in the hands of Erik ten Hag because he's getting credit of going in for cheaper talent or cheaper players that are really talented. I believe Gravenberch is a very good talented player. And if Ten Hag brings him in and City gets Jude Bellingham, I believe Gravenberch talent ceiling can match that of Jude Bellingham. So when Ten Hag gets him in, it will be great. But will the money be available? Because it said Bayern will be rooting for £30 million plus for Ryan Gravenberch. And let me throw in this. I think the only way we can use Gravenberch to any team, if at all Bayern decides to sell, is when we don't have the money that Bayern wants. Like we lost Cody Gakpo. Cody Gakpo was sold onto a move to Manchester United, but we never had the money to pay. £37 million were not available for United to pay for Cody Gakpo, and he went to Liverpool. So if we are to come in and play, if you are to come in and see Ryan Gravenberch coming to Manchester United, the only blocking factor will be the money, but he would like to reunite with Erik ten Hag because he knows that Ten Hag knows him better and he's going to really try to fix him into that team of Manchester United. And I think that will be a very good long-term signing for Manchester United because he's really talented. His physicality is undoubted. We've always longed for a player to come in and obviously act as a backup or an understudy for Casemiro and Eriksen. And obviously, Ryan Gravenberch is one of those. Now, one will ask me, where does this leave Marcel Sabitza's deal? I think Sabitzer is also going to be signed permanently at Manchester United. And if I told you getting Ryan Gravenberch and Sabitzer, the midfield question marks will all be answered. Full stops would have been put to all those question marks because Gravenberch can come in and play in the double pivot alongside Casemiro, all play as a CDM alongside Bruno Fernandes, or Sabitzer, or Eriksen, or Fred. Then Sabitzer can also play as a central attack midfielder for Manchester United because has shown us that every time has been played in that position, he has gone ahead to thrive and really fire in very many goals. The big question remains, can Bayern Munich sell us these two players? That's the huge question because they might be having a better future for Gravenberch than Marcel Sabitzer, and they are sold onto an idea of selling Sabitzer to Manchester United. So that's all about Ryan Gravenberch, but he's a very good talented player. If at all we can land that signing, it will be really majestic. It will be really majestic, and I can't wait to see him play for Manchester United because he's a cheap player that you get on £30 million and can come in and obviously get you more money if at all you want him to sell. Because business-wise, he has a resale price. He will be having a resale price that is really huge. Maybe he comes in, plays for 5 years at Manchester United and wants to go to another club. 25 years of age, performing at his levels, world class. United can even get £100 million from him. So I think that should be something that Ten Hag should look at, and I think that's why he has told Manchester United to hold talks with Gravenberch. Remember, Ten Hag, before going for Sabitzer, he wanted Ryan Gravenberch first on loan. Bayern said no, but we can offer you Marcel Sabitzer. So that means, in any way, Gravenberch is really an ideal player that Ten Hag would love to see sign for Manchester United. Going to another story, Wout Weghorst. Wout Weghorst, a player of Manchester United that we signed from Burnley on a loan fee, has found himself in a very difficult position. You know, Ten Hag loves the player, but it looks like Weghorst cannot meet the required demands of Erik Ten Hag. And the goal, that's the website, has gone ahead and confirmed to us that Besiktas want to resign Wout Weghorst from Burnley in the summer, as a permanent move to Manchester United looks uncertain. The Dutch international forward has appeared in 21 matches for the Premier League Giants, but has managed to score just 3 goals and provides 3 assists. Keeping in mind his poor form at Old Trafford, a permanent move to the club looks uncertain next season for Wout Weghorst. And obviously, all this lies under one statement: Weghorst fails to convince Erik Ten Hag. If you've seen Martial coming through for this club of United, you see how much improves the squad and or the team. When Martial is off, it's obviously a very huge drop-off. Very, 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 very huge drop-off. And that's why we almost lose our composure in the final third when Martial is off. That's it. So I think Wout Weghorst has gone ahead to do his job, and I would like credit Erik Ten Hag to work out on his means to get a player like Weghorst and really put him in the team of United. And Weghorst will be so much privileged to have come in and played for Manchester United. And I think playing for Manchester United will really create more opportunities for him to either play in a team in the Premier League or outside the Premier League that is beyond Besiktas. I know Besiktas want this player back because of what he was doing for them in their league in Turkey, but right now looks like it's something that Ten Hag is not even thinking about, because there is a very huge drop-off when you're having Weghorst. I think the only reason as to why Ten Hag can keep Weghorst is because he has always gone ahead to long for 3 centre forwards. If at all he signs in one in the names of Harry Kane, or Højlund, or Victor Osimhen, or Goncalo Ramos, name it, he'll be left with 2, meaning that Weghorst, whose cost is at like £8 million, Ten Hag can sign him as a squad player. And I think retaining him as a squad player is really good for the club of Manchester United. You will need him in certain games when you want to rotate a little bit and rest Martial or your number 9 that you've got ahead to sign in. But he has failed to convince Erik Ten Hag, and I think Ten Hag will only sign Weghorst on a permanent deal if at all he has failed to get in a third striker on a cheaper race. But when you look at the number of strikers that Ten Hag is looking at that are really cheap, I think Weghorst is really out of the spotlight of Erik Ten Hag, because there is another striker who is like 20 years of age. He's Mexican, known as Santiago Jimenez. His buyout clause is £18 million at Feyenoord. And at £18 million, you wouldn't like to miss out on such a player. So I think Ten Hag can go ahead and really sign in more two strikers that are really going to be an understudy for Anton Martial. If at all Anton Martial proves that he can be really fit, that will be okay. If you can get like £30 million and signs Højlund from Atalanta, then Jimenez, £18 million, that is close to £50 million, getting into strikers with Anton Martial, that will be a very good acquisition for Erik Ten Hag and the board of United. And that might be the plan, by the way, because Harry Kane is 30 and you cannot pay that amount of money for him. So that's it. So let's go to the list of players that has been released by the Premier League that are going to compete for the team of the season. Goalkeepers: Nick Pope, Aaron Ramsdale, Alisson Becker, Bernard Leno, and Kepa for Chelsea. This is where you ask yourself, where is David De Gea? Because David De Gea has kept more clean sheets than all of these players. He has really shown us the one of the short stoppers. He has made some good saves this season. He has obviously improved on his ball distribution. Now, how does Bernard Leno and Kepa of Chelsea make it to this list when David De Gea is nowhere to be seen? I think that's the rant. That's the first rant I'm having in for Manchester United player. But for Nick Pope, Aaron Ramsdale, and Alisson Becker, I think they're right. But I think David De Gea would have taken one spot of Bernard Leno and Kepa. Then, defenders. Gabriel Magalhaes, Arsenal. William Saliba, Arsenal. Kylian Trippier, Newcastle. Steve Boutman, Newcastle. Zinchenko, Arsenal. Thiago Silva, Chelsea. Lisandro Martinez, Manchester United. Ben Mee, Brentford. Luke Shaw, Manchester United. Christian Romero, Tottenham Hotspur. And Ruben Diaz, Manchester City. Meaning that United is having two defenders nominated in this category. There is Luke Shaw and Lisandro Martinez. I think Rafael Varane would have gotten a nod if at all he kept himself fit, but he never kept himself fit and is consistent. And his inconsistency has costed himself a position in here for you. And obviously, Diego Dallo. If Diego Dallo had gone ahead to really give us those vibes, he gave us in the first spell of the season before we went to the World Cup, I think he would have seen himself in that list of defenders. Then midfielders, Martin Odegaard, Kevin De Bruyne, Casemiro, Rodri, Bruno Guimaraes, Alexis McAllister, Paulinho, James Maddison, Solly March, Mitoma, Rodrigo Bentancur, and Pierre-Emerick Højbjerg. I like the list, but where's Bruno Fernandes? That's the big question. Where is Bruno Fernandes on this list? Where is Bruno Fernandes, guys? Bruno Fernandes has to be onto this list. I think even Moise Caicedo has to be on this list. I'm not seeing Moise Caicedo. Brighton is having Mitoma and McAllister. I think Moise Caicedo should be on this list. But having Casemiro, nice pick. But my big question is, where is Bruno Fernandes? Fernandes deserves to be on this list on any day. Attackers, Haaland, Saka, Harry Kane, Martinelli, Grealish, Marcus Rashford, Mohamed Salah, Almiron, Oli Watkins, Kai Havertz, Riyad Mahrez, Darwin Núñez. I think for this, we only qualify to be having Marcus Rashford. That's a pretty good call for me. But in the midfielders, I would have to see Bruno Fernandes picked, and in the goalkeepers, David De Gea deserved a pick or a nod into that. So guys, your reactions to Gravenberch 20 talks held, and then Weghorst failing to convince Erik ten Hag are welcome in the comment section below. Do you think De Gea and Bruno Fernandes missed out on a positive note or a biased note? I cover you all in the precious blood of Jesus Christ. Rock and David remains my name. Good night to those going to bed, and those still awake. We are still coming in with more content. I'm out.